Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 692, written by a fellow viewer, Dean Martin. The Helicopter Frozen in Time. Here's a collection of 3 small stories from our very own Dean Martin. Story 1. This is a glitch with my brother, where I wrote to my other brother, but I had another incident with him. About 2 months or so ago, I wrote via text to him. We were supposed to play Pokemon together, so I wrote to him in the evening. He didn't reply, so I thought his job was running late. About an hour after the first text, I called him. He didn't take it, so I waited a little and called again. But this time he took it, or should I say, he took it. I said, "Hello?" I heard noise and scratching sounds, and after what seemed like 2 minutes, he screamed and hung up. It was so loud it scared me. I tried calling back, and I called him a total of 16 times and 2 times on Facebook too. And with every call, I was talking to him, and each time he would scream. But finally, I got a hold of the real him and told him. He said it first. "Sorry, didn't pick up. My job was running late, and I was talking to my dad," I answered. "There's no way." And then I told him everything. I even sent a picture to him showing him the calls I made, and then he went silent. He said, "I didn't get anything." He then sent me a picture showing nothing on his end of his phone, not a single call registered, but he did get those 2 on Facebook, but couldn't answer, which he told me. But I was talking to someone even on Facebook, so what the hell happened, and why was that person screaming? Story 2. I was out driving with my wife to a thrift store when out of the window I saw a helicopter. It was in the air, flying around, but when I stared at it, it seemed to be in place. Like it was not moving, it was stuck in midair. Then I told my wife, but she didn't see it. She did say, "Cool, where is it?" I told her, but as soon as I did, a tree blocked the path. I said that to her as well, but it didn't matter because she could see it in 30 seconds, but she didn't. It was in the air, but every time she was about to see, a tree would block her view. We were turning right when the helicopter was about to be in view, which I said to my wife, and I saw it in the air, but then suddenly it vanished. I was looking at the sky and just stared. This whole sequence was maybe 3 seconds long. My wife asked, "Well, where is it?" "Well, it's gone." She sighed, but when I told her what happened, she believed it, because she knows what's happening. Story 3. What happened is really weird on this one. My wife and I were out walking in the woods near us, looking for some plants, when I heard something. At first, it sounded like the wind, and I didn't want to say anything to my wife because it would seem crazy. But as we were walking and stopped, the noise became louder, just little by little. It sounded like people, like many people, all talking over each other. I thought, screw it, and asked my wife, "Did you hear that?" And she said, "Yes, I thought it was only me and didn't want to say anything." I said the same thing to her. We kept hearing those sounds of people talking when no one was around, and it became louder and louder. We looked at each other and looked all over, but no one was near us. The woods were empty, the sun was setting slowly, and we got scared and called it a day and went home. We still talk about it and can't find an explanation for it other than a glitch. We did go back eventually, but nothing strange happened that time. Case notes. File number 692. The Helicopter Frozen in Time. So this first story actually sounds very familiar. It's like I read a story extremely notable in its similarities. I think though, it wasn't a scream. The person that I read the story from was describing, I think it was their brother as well, or maybe a close friend. And they were calling them. They answered eventually. And when they answered, they were speaking in some foreign, unknown language. It almost sounded alien or demonic or something. In your case, it's just this weird scratching sound and then your brother screams and doesn't remember doing any of this. And most notably, there's no record of the calls going through on your brother's end. So if you did connect and there's a mundane explanation, your call went through to some other person that decided to prank you. So was this somehow an elaborate electronic prank? How would they intercept a call this way? Maybe it was an interception from a higher power. or a lower power. And the second story, I've also narrated a story similar to it, where it wasn't a helicopter, it was a plane in the sky that appeared to be frozen in time, like a temporal bubble. You would see it, in this case it was at night. I think the person was going out to bring his garbage out to the bin, and then he saw this plane frozen, seemingly stuck in the sky, for no apparent reason. And it was just sitting there for I think over a minute. In your case, the crazy thing happened within the span of 3 seconds. You saw it, frozen still, and then it just vanished. There was no time to land, and wasn't even moving anyways. Makes you wonder, are there temporal bubbles in the sky or in space-time? Not just the sky, could be anywhere on the planet, where if you enter it, you don't even realize you're in this temporal bubble? Time is essentially frozen for you. Relative to the outside world, there's no time passing for you. You know what? There was a recent case where there was this person that was on a plane, and he lost track of time. It seemed like time just skipped by. He was sleeping, but it didn't seem like he fell asleep, and then many hours passed. What if there are temporal bubbles, where in a moment you're trapped in it, you don't realize it, and it seems like you just zip on by, because after you're outside of the temporal bubble, you are moved along to where you should have been, given you would have traveled through time normally. So it's sort of like a freeze frame of space-time, but then it resets itself. Almost like there's not enough processing power for the server to handle. I guess it could be a way to save on crashing the whole server, where you just freeze a certain segment of it and give more processing power to other locations that need it. The third story just sounds like a sort of collective haunting of a specific location in the forest. It is odd though that when you went back, there was nothing abnormal. So if these entities were still there, if there were echoes or ghosts, maybe they moved on. And I probably wouldn't have gone back myself. That seems a bit terrifying. You're both very brave. Case file number 693, written by Armored Meercat. The Kissing Entities. The Hat Man. This happened in Budapest, Hungary, in the early 90s. There was no internet, and I never heard of the Hat Man before. I woke up at midnight and was not able to move. Classic sleep paralysis. All of a sudden, I felt something truly evil in the room. It was dark and I was not able to see the corner, but I knew someone or something was standing in the dark corner. In my mind, I saw a tall man with a wide cowboy hat, long leather coat, just like a Western outlaw. I felt the menace coming from him, whatever it was. I would have written it off as a nightmare or sleep paralysis if my cat would not have climbed the curtain and was not hissing and spitting like crazy right at it. Even though this happened over 20 plus years ago, I still get the shivers if I think of it. Kissing Entities. I lived alone at the time and was working a closing shift at a restaurant, arriving home past midnight and just chilling for a while before dozing off. As I was drifting off to sleep, I felt a gentle hand stroking the top of my head and felt a light kiss on my forehead. I was not able to move to turn around to see who or what it was. My heart was filled with the purest love and felt happy, but in a strange, blissful and calm happiness. A year or so later, I had my apartment remodeled and all the furniture was pulled into the middle of the room. My mom had the habit of coming to check on me unannounced. I wanted to have a nap before my shift, so I left the key in the lock. We had the old-fashioned skeleton keys, so the door could not be opened from the outside. As I was drifting off again, I heard a key rattling in the lock. I was thinking, great, Mom is here, but knew she would not be able to get in because the key was inside. Then I hear footsteps. I was wondering how was she able to get inside. Again, I feel the gentle stroke on my head and a kiss. Same blissful euphoria. Never happened again. I miss my kissing entities. Creepy file number 35, written by chocolatechipwizard. The Brown Van. This happened a long time ago, in the early 70s, on the rural outskirts of a small satellite town of Detroit. Back in those days, kids wandered freely, and more or less without knowledge or fear of the dangers every child knows about these days. Stranger danger was not a thing kids at the time were taught in school. I was in 2nd or 3rd grade, a nearsighted, neglected girl child of parents too immersed in their own misery to bother with parenting. So while I knew firsthand how dangerous family could be, I had no fear of strangers. I was walking home from the bus stop. I remember it was a warm, pleasant, sunny day. The road was a dirt one, solely residential, and the houses were all situated below the crown of a hill out of sight from the road. I was about a city block from home when a brown truck pulled up, looking, to my poor vision at least, like a UPS delivery van. Inside the truck, I could see 3 people. One was a girl in her 20s with long, straight blonde hair, who very much resembled my older sister or the girl on Mod Squad, a common look in those days. There was a young man with the kind of dirty, bearded Jesus look that was just common at the time. And the third, I think, was kind of shadowed, hard to make out in the interior of the truck. One of them said, "We have a package for your parents. Get in and show us where your house is." Though I had no fear of strangers at the time, I was a logical little cuss. When I did interact with adults, I usually annoyed them by just saying it like it was, so I answered, "My parents' house is right there," pointing down the road. "You can follow me if you want to." They tried for several minutes to persuade me to get into the delivery truck. I just couldn't understand why these stupid adults wouldn't simply follow me a couple doors down so they could make their delivery. I turned away from the truck and walked along the edge of the road towards my house, thinking they would just follow me and deliver their package. But the van drove off. No delivery attempted. Now looking back, I realize that I don't remember seeing a UPS logo on the truck, though it was a brown delivery style vehicle. Back in those days, surplus bread delivery vans were a dime a dozen. I also realized that there would not have been 3 young people dressed in jeans in a real UPS truck. I'm awfully glad I never found out what they had planned for me that day.